putting the finishing touches on this talk. So if this talk just kind of drops off, that's pretty much where I left it. I'm a Catholic and a Christian. Don't hold that against me. That's just if some people are Christian. I keep waiting for a fundamentalist type person, this is being recorded, sorry, to say, well, Catholicism isn't Christianity. And I can't wait for somebody to say that, because I'm going to say, well, St. Peter is at the Golden Gate, and he's recognized as the first pope of the Catholic Church. So basically, as a Catholic, I know the doorman. Anyway, all right. That got a big laugh last time I did that. Oh my gosh. So, in 1980, there were two events. Actually, there were three. I married my wife 46 years ago. You can't applaud. But you can applaud back there if you want to. One of them was the Winter Olympics in Lake Placid. Everybody remember that? The United States played Russia for a medal. And the average age of the United States team was 21 to 22. They were college kids. Back then, ladies and gentlemen, the Olympics was an amateur sport, but the Russians found a way to circumvent that. I don't blame them for it. They just found a loophole. They put their athletes, their hockey players, like in the military and then in universities, and so they were heavily favored. The United States was 1,000 to 1 odd to win the match. And Russia had won 4 gold medals in a row. So, the average age of the Russians were 26 to 27, and in hockey, that means you played a lot. I've never played hockey, but that's what they say. So, the United States went on to win 4 to 3. So who won the gold medal that year? Anybody know? Who did the United States play in the finals? And here's what I'm going to talk about. Everybody will swear that that was the gold medal match. The United States beat the Russians for gold medal. They didn't. That was a semifinal match. Anybody know who they played in the finals?
Canada.
Who said Canada?
I did.
Normally it's Canada. This year, that year it happened to be Finland. Poor little Finland. And we won the Olympic gold. But people will debate you and swear the United States beat Russia for the gold medal. But they didn't. They beat Finland. Situation number 2. And you know, when people, I've had some people get in my face about this next one. I played a lot of tennis, not professionally, but for about 30, 35 years. I always wanted to learn how to play the game. I didn't play in high school. I picked up the game out of high school. In 1980, in July, is when Wimbledon. If you look at tennis, anybody here like tennis? Raise your hand. Oh, nice, good. So there are 4 Grand Slams in which the men have to play the best out of 5 sets. There's the Australian Open, US Open, French Open, and Wimbledon. So this is a match between Borg and McEnroe. Back then, I followed Borg, McEnroe. I had the Connors racket. I couldn't hit like Connors, but at least I had one. Okay, and an average set in tennis goes about 45 minutes. That's about the average. A set, if you don't like tennis, is you win to 6 games by 2 games or more. If you don't win by 2 games, you just keep playing. A tiebreaker is the same thing. First one to get to 7, it's called 12-point tiebreaker. Am I boring everybody about tennis? Come on, there's got to be somebody. I'm bored just reading this, so there's got to be somebody aboard. Anyway, just kidding. So Borg and McEnroe played this tennis match in which McEnroe saved 5 set points. Normally, a tiebreaker goes to 8 to 6 would be on it. Theirs was 18 to 16. The tiebreaker lasted 21 minutes. I watched this go. So who won Wimbledon that year? Anybody know? It wasn't McEnroe. But people will get in your face and swear he won the gold medal. I'm sorry, getting them mixed up. He won the Wimbledon Championship. In a Grand Slam, you play, again, men play best out of 5. That was the semifinal match. Borg won the match because that was the 4th set. The 5th set, Borg won. He won his 5th Wimbledon in a row. But tennis players are fanatics. I know I was one. They will absolutely debate. that McEnroe, since winning that tiebreaker, won that match. And by the way, this is a talk, if you're looking for an inspirational talk, today is your unlucky day. So this is more of a reflective talk. I want to think about things, because I've been thinking about stuff lately. But tennis players will swear McEnroe won that match and won his first Wimbledon. He won it the following year. I can't remember if he beat Connors or somebody, but he won it the following year. And I'm breezing through this. Leaving more time for messages. Is this any surprise to you guys? I mean, knocking over the water bottle is just kind of how I roll, right? It is what it is, right? Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. And I was going to go over some of the highlights of Nelson Mandela. You probably know them all, especially if you've seen the movie Invictus, which is a great movie. But people will swear he died in prison. Maybe not now, but so in 2010, let's see what this lady's name is. Can't think of her name. I've got it somewhere. Well, this lady who had spent her whole life believing Nelson Mandela had died in prison realizes that he's alive and didn't die in prison. So in 2010, she coined the phrase, the Mandela effect, in which a large group of people see something that didn't happen. You know, in other words, if you look at first the hockey match, they were close, but they were wrong. The memories were wrong. In the tennis match, they were close, but they were wrong. Mandela, they were way wrong, right? And when you look at the accomplishments of Nelson Mandela after he left office, it is absolutely unbelievable. Over 250 awards, Nobel Peace Prize winner. So, what is this Mandela effect? Oh my God. This is the rest of my talk, by the way, so it just stopped when I hit the Vietnamese church. But there's a lot of people who believe that there's an alternate dimension, an alternate reality, an alternate universe. And quite honestly, who might dispute that? A dimension, if you had to describe a dimension is a combination of time and space, right? And scientists have said there are more dimensions than and this is science, not spirituality, this is science. There are more dimensions than what we realize, right? First, science identified 5 dimensions. Because, by the way, I am a doctor of philosophy. You may ever see the Mel Brooks movie, History of the World, Part 1? Okay, boy, that was cross that one out. Okay, Mel Brooks is out-of-work stand-up philosopher, right? So I won't go into that. But I wanted a PhD in metaphysics, metaphysical humanistic sciences, because that's what I was really interested in. And in this, we studied quantum physics, quantum mechanics, wormholes, all this stuff. Near-death experiences, which are absolutely fascinating. Scientists will swear it's a brain, it's a part of the brain that makes you, what I'm trying to say. Anyway, makes you dream or start to dream. When the brain goes, the frontal lobes, I think, are the first to go, right? And they say, well, that's where imagination kicks in, some imagination as you start to pass. And there really is no evidence, or there was no near-death experience. However, those same scientists said there's no such thing as a consciousness. There's no such thing as a soul, because they can't touch it, they can't feel it, they can't wrap their hands around it. So, Diz Juan Kirk is a gentleman who studies the Mandela effect, and he thinks it's a simulation. Like the Matrix. I know it may seem out there, but you know, in 10 years, this stuff is not going to be out there. You know, folks, if you told me 15 years ago I'd be doing anything like this, very conservative, very, you know, that I would be delivering messages from people who have passed, that I would be sensing psychic energy, that I would be doing remote viewing. Remote viewing doesn't help when I try to find my keys. But anyway, this one, Kirk, okay, that was a joke. You can laugh at any point. Okay, I'm coming to the end. Your favorite part of the talk, the end. Last thing, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something to reflect upon and look into, because I think there's something there. I think there is a consciousness there. I think it is outside the body. I think as we ascend and get more vibrations, more energy, like Tesla says, energy, vibrations, frequency, that there is something there. Anybody ever, they still make this magazine. Do you remember the magazine Popular Mechanics? Mm-hmm. Have you looked at it lately? It is not the Popular Mechanics that I remember. I remember cars and things like that, and I thought it was cool. 3 years ago, I saw an ad for Popular Mechanics, and it really piqued my interest. It was talking about, excuse me, it was talking about how some things are changing within our magazine, have changed within the magazine. Guess what they're talking about now? Consciousness, near-death experiences, dimensions, from a science and spirituality. So if science and spirituality can come together, then thinking about an alternate universe where McEnroe wins the Wimbledon, where the USA beats Russia for the gold, where Nelson Mandela maybe gets out earlier, doesn't die and maybe gets out earlier. Now, some of the examples of the Mandela effect. Fruit of the Loom. What's the logo of Fruit of the Loom? Bunch of fruit. Is there anything else there in the picture? Is there a wicker basket in the picture with all the fruit coming out? Cornucopia. That wicker basket is not on the logo. I thought it was, like a lot of you people. What's another one? They mentioned the Berenstain Bears. I don't know. That there's an E, not an E, but an A. I guess that concludes my talk. What I can just do was say, stop it. But there's all these examples. And the thing is, they're memories, but there's something beyond the memory, right? Dreams. I do a dream interpretation class at Casadega, and dreams are fascinating. And if we can dream things, we can manifest those dreams. Now, who's to say there's not an alternate universe? Who's to say there's not something more than just this? We always say that this earth is one soul at a time is elevating to 5D. I don't know if you heard that. 5 dimension. Again, time and space. And yet, here we are with touching these things. Did you know this? I'm going to close with this. This is like a public service announcement, all this great information. I know what she's thinking. Did you know the lens in our eyes are made to where we see things upside down? I didn't know that. All I know is I had cataract surgery and it really works. That's all I know. But the brain, see, the brain prioritizes these things. The brain prioritizes what we see. And sometimes the brain fills in the gaps. You know, and the thing is, the big memory about the USA, about the hockey, was that the USA beat the Russians for the very first time. That was the big memory. So that's plugged in. And any other memory is kind of shoved to the side. The big memory about McEnroe and Borg isn't that Borg won Wimbledon. It's that McEnroe won a 21-minute tiebreaker. The brain puts that in, puts it aside. The brain associates Nelson Mandela with prison. When he was released in 1990, I think he passed in 2013, I think. But you look at all of his accomplishments, that shadows of 27 years. So the brain does fill in the gaps. In those gaps, ladies and gentlemen, is there another universe? Is there other dimensions that we haven't explored? So this was just a kind of reflective talk, and this was where I was going to end, by the way. Leave me more room for messages. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for